A few months ago I made a video about the Hayman drum kit that's sitting behind me here, and at the end of that video I decided that I was going to not only keep it, but that I liked it so much that I was going to gig with it full time. And sure enough, that's exactly what I did. But after its last outing a few weeks ago, I decided that actually I should probably move it on, and in this video I'm going to explain why. Now, if I'm honest with myself, most of the reasons that I want to move this kit on aren't actually the drum kit's fault. I mean, yeah, of course we've got the strange design on the butt end of the snare drum, and of course we've got the strange throw-off design and a few other quirks, but most of those are livable, despite a few that potentially are a little bit too annoying. But the majority of the reasons are actually to do with my workflow, practice, and some of the other equipment that I've already got. You see, I'm very fortunate in that this isn't the only drum kit that I've got access to which does this specific job. And by this specific job I mean has larger sizes, records well, looks great on stage, and sounds great. But for the last few months, the Starclassic has basically been stacked up. It's been not only not used, but it's also been in the way. And I keep coming into this room and just thinking, you know, it's just a bit of a waste. It's a bit of a shame. That was kind of my first love, and then this Hayman kit has come along. And there are a few vintage-esque elements of the Hayman which are quite charming at first glance, but actually they do get a little bit annoying. Let me show you what I mean. 4 annoying things about my vintage Hayman kit. Number 1, the bass drum spurs. These are not the best designed spurs in the entire world. Admittedly, they don't slip and they've actually done a decent job, but the spiky bit on the end has actually ripped the inside of my soft cases. Another point on the bass drum spurs is that they never seem to sit where I want them to. So this one on the right here is currently sticking out a lot more than this one over on the left, and it's only by coming to the front of the kit that you can actually see that, and you just basically go back and forth adjusting them by micro amounts until you get it right. We need to talk about the tom holder on the Hayman. This is annoying thing part 2. I first want to defend the design because these get a lot of slack, and I actually don't believe that they fully deserve it. I think the design is unusual and interesting, and admittedly it has not slipped an inch. It's never slipped on any gig. The tom has not fallen off as I feared it would. But there is one problem. Let's say you set up your kit quickly for a gig and you want to make a micro adjustment, okay, to the tom. Now you can sort of do that by undoing this and then sort of adjusting it, but it has to sit properly on the teeth, otherwise it won't tighten up properly and it'll just get stuck. Now that's kind of okay, I don't mind that. Of course it's got to sit on the teeth, that's fine. It's like a gear, that's what a gear would do, that's fine. However, let's say you're setting the kit up, so for the first time, for that night or whatever, and you've obviously not got contact yet with the threads, okay? So you're trying to make contact with the threads. Now, unless you get this absolutely perfect, it won't go on. So that time it's absolutely fine, but I'm gonna admit something now. This is my 3rd take of doing this piece to camera. And on the previous 2 takes, it did not go on. You see, now it's stuck. So obviously you don't want to cross thread it, so you have to be really gentle, but you're not really sure at any point what it wants you to do. You just kind of have to keep moving it around until it takes. No, you see, that's not right now. You know, imagine you got 10 minutes left to sound check. Oh, there we go. You see, but then the problem is that you're so focused on doing this side, you're not actually looking at what the angle is over here. And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna make an adjustment now. And then you do this, and then, yeah, you see, it's kind of okay, but it is annoying, and it is a problem that I don't have on my other kit. You may notice when looking at this floor tom leg here that there's a little piece of gaffer tape around it, and that's actually functional, admittedly. You see, this floor tom leg holder, under its own steam, will not hold the floor tom leg in place. So if I move that there, adjust it and tighten it up, you see? And honestly, that's tight, like they won't go any more than that. It won't hold the leg in place, look. I have actually repaired another one of these brackets, which is on the bass drum, which we'll talk about in a second. But even so, I'm not sure I would 100% trust it, admittedly. So I have to kind of work out each time, normally with the drum upside down, which one it is that needs to go in which floor tom leg bracket. This is the one that's on the bass drum, and this is designed to hold a ride cymbal bracket. I did repair this one. However, I use a 22-inch ride cymbal, which is quite big and quite heavy. And, well, first of all, it gets in the way of the tom, because you imagine the cymbal kind of goes here, but also there's no adjustment, obviously, from where this is, which means that you can't put the cymbal where you want it, because either the arm is too long and it means the cymbal's too high, or even kind of worse than that is that you then have to have the tom really far over, because you need to allow for the fact that you've got obviously has a larger cymbal, which means that the whole ergonomics of the kit are sort of a little bit ruined. I could maybe put a cowbell in it, I suppose, but it's going to be again in a strange position unless I rig something really strange up, and in which case I'd probably just mount it to this tom bracket here anyway, or mount it to the bass drum hoop. I just want to quickly say that if you'd like to support my channel, then please consider becoming a channel member. There's 50% off for the first 3 months using code DRUM50, which makes it £1.50 a month, and there are 2 competitions a month, some of which are members only, and you also get access to my members only Discord, which is a really nice community of drummers, and we all help each other out. An example would be that recently one of the Discord members was actually looking for a new electronic drum kit, and many of us have been chipping in with eBay links, marketplace links, trying to help him out to find the right kit. So if that's something that you would find useful, then please consider becoming a channel member. It really helps me out. You can win some cool drum stuff, and also you can join in the chat. So back to the video. Now, I could sit here for the next few minutes and wax lyrical about how all these things make the kit more interesting and more charming, and I do sort of go in for that. I mean, I always like things that are a little bit quirky and unusual. However, I am using the kit as a professional tool, and not to get too philosophical, but this year I've really been focusing on simplicity and ease, just in my overall life. When I look at this room, which is where I generally work, for the last few months, obviously I've had a lot of drum kits come and go for different videos, and the room itself ergonomically needs to work to make my life as easy as possible. This room is about 10.5 feet by about 12 feet. And I've actually got my TD30 kit permanently set up. I've got a desk with a monitor. I've got my little Pearl kit just stacked up in the corner in its cases. And then I've normally got, in this space here, as you may already know, I've normally got a kit set up for recording. Now, that used to be my Starclassic because I would gig with the little Pearl kit before I had the Hayman, and I'd leave the Starclassic just set up in here ready for recording. But as I started making more and more of these videos, I kind of got to the point where I kept having to move the Starclassic out, which meant that it ended up stacked up. And then I got the Hayman, and I was like, great, I'm gonna use the Hayman for the gigs, use the Starclassic as and when I don't have a kit in here. But the problem has been, when I do have a kit in here, the room becomes a mess very quickly, and the harder it is to work in here, the longer everything takes me. Another example would be that I recently spent lots of money, as I mentioned in the last video, on a new camera, which I'm using right now. But the reason I bought the new camera wasn't really because I wanted the image quality to be better or anything like that, but it's because my old one had a real issue. Not only was it falling apart cosmetically and physically, there were bits actually that had come off it and were missing. It has a real problem with something called autofocus. Autofocus is just how it detects my face if I move closer, how it responds. Yeah, you probably know what that is. And my solution was this. This is a beach ball that I got from Bax Music when I bought some microphones earlier in the year. And what I would have to do is set my camera up on every single shot that I did for one of these videos. I'd have to put the beach ball on the chair that I was going to sit on, focus the camera on the chair, switch it to manual focus, and then throw the beach ball away from myself. Another advantage to my new camera is that it shoots straight to an SSD hard drive, which means I never have to transfer any memory cards. This saves me a lot of time. It's a lot easier. If I forget a shot and I want some more, nice tasty clips of the kit, I just plug the hard drive back in, another clip, straight back in the computer, job done. These things actually for me are very valuable. So when it comes to the Hayman kit, despite how charming and interesting it is, it's not really adding to my sort of overall professional workflow or being. And there is one other problem with it, which I only kind of realised after a few different people mentioned it to me. I've had 3 separate sound engineers say to me, I'm struggling with that bass drum. And that's kind of annoying because I've got a really good skin on it. Maybe the Reza side could be a little bit better. There's not really much more I could do with it. And I even had a sound check recently where we actually had loads of time and we just sat playing with it, myself and the guy who was doing the sound. We were adding more stuff inside it, taking stuff out of it, we were tuning the front skin, back skin. Other than probably trying a different beta, being that that's the beta I use on every other kit and I've never had a problem, there's not really much more that I can think that I can do with it. And I'm not sure why I can't get the sound that I want. But the fact is that with the Starclassic, without even trying, I got more than the sound I wanted. And that just makes it, again, so much easier. If I can walk into a venue, take the kit out the cases and just know that it's going to sound great, that's everything. And with the best will in the world, the Starclassic is probably the better all-round kit. No, I'm just kidding, I don't need to do that anymore. I want to make one more slightly philosophical point, and that is that we're taught in life that we should always be striving for greater, bigger things. And I actually think that that is probably a modern internet-based sort of phenomenon, and I don't think it's particularly healthy. I'm at a point where anything I buy to keep now, I want to be something that I'm gonna basically keep forever. This is my snare drum mic. It's a Sennheiser 441. It's probably one of the best snare drum mics you could buy on the market, and I bought it at a good price, and I'll never sell it, because why would I? Why would I want anything else? I've got something that I think is absolutely brilliant. I really like it. What that means is that I've sort of ticked off one thing that I'll never have to worry about wanting again. It's because I've spent time gradually finding specific items that I think, you know what, at some point when I can afford to do it, I'll get that one, and then that's me, done. You know, it's nice to tick off some stuff that actually you go, no, I'm really content with that. Many of you will know that my dream drum kit has been a Sonor SQ2 for a long time. And I sort of came to the realization with that I'm not going to be any happier when I actually get one. But then it also makes me think, well, why am I wasting my time with this other kit that I didn't really want? I mean, it's cool and I like it and I've enjoyed playing it for a few months, but I didn't really want it, you know? And I'm not any happier, certainly, for having it. I'll probably be happier just to have the money back in my bank account, to be honest, with the tax bill looming. I probably will at some point still get an SQ2, and I will enjoy the fact that I've spent the last 10 or 15 years quietly lusting after one and quietly wanting one. It's nice to know, in a sense, that you're not just striving all the time, you know? And I really enjoy playing on my Starclassic. I think it's great. I think it's a really cool kit. I really enjoy playing on my TD30, despite the fact that it's 12 years old. I've heard many people say that the brain is not as good as some of the new ones, and of course it isn't, but it's great. I love it. I come in here every morning, look out the window, and I enjoy playing my TD30. I never look at the new Roland kits and think, well, at some point though, I'm going to get one of those, because absolutely not. Sure, it'll get old, it'll need replacing at some point, but I'm definitely not thinking about that, you know? Just enjoy it. So that's all from me. I hope that this video has not been too philosophical and strange, but remember, please subscribe if you're not already. Don't be one of the 83% of people or whatever it is. I can't tell you how much it helps the algorithm and how much it helps the channel out. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great couple of weeks, and I'll be back in a fortnight with some more drum content. Bye bye for now.